Hello and welcome to today's Coffee with Craig. This is where we talk about everything firearms related, whether it's culture, politics, news, you name it. So do me a favor, please like and share this live feed so that those with whom you communicate and talk and debate can join us in the conversation. Today we're going to be talking about the state of New York and how their governor, Andrew Cuomo, is seeking to leverage the Me Too movement to expand firearms confiscation. Andrew Cuomo is proposing that in the state of New York, that if you are convicted of felony sexual abuse, that you would then lose your right to keep and bear arms and would have your firearms confiscated. Now, this is already the case here in the state of California, and we all know that if you're convicted of a felony, any felony, including sexual abuse or sexual violence, well, then you lose your gun rights. Now, far be it from me to say that I have any sympathy for those who abuse, who are engaged in sexual abuse or who abuse their spouses or anything along those lines. I really don't have sympathy for you. My concern, quite frankly, is this. Is number one, you have individuals who might actually accept a plea deal to a misdemeanor simply because it would either be too expensive or it's just too troublesome or they're too troublesome for them to fight a felony conviction. So this may be someone who's innocent, who's willing to plead guilty to a misdemeanor, thinking it doesn't have consequences, but guess what? Or thinking the consequences are less, yet and still they lose their fundamental right to keep and bear arms. I also have an issue with the expanding number of misdemeanors that are being used in order to subvert one's ability to exercise a constitutionally enumerated right. I mean, even with felonies. I mean, it used to be felonies was a big deal. It was a serious thing, right? If you did something, usually felonies meant you know death or life in prison. It was one of the two major. I mean, there were major consequences for convictions of felonies. But nowadays, felonies can be everything was if you steal something more than $950, that's a felony and you lose your gun rights. I mean, there's all sorts of felony mail fraud. Once again, you lose your right to keep and bear arms. So felonies used to be a big thing. But they've been reduced down to where there's any number of I don't want to say small crimes, but crimes that have absolutely nothing to do with one's propensity to be violent, but that would cause them to once again lose their constitutionally enumerated rights. And so then we get into now misdemeanors, and it's once again it's not just this. I mean, in California now, if you're convicted of a hate crime, right? Meaning that if you're convicted of a hate crime, which once again can be anything from, vandalism, right? Graffiti can be, if you graffiti the wrong thing, it's now a hate crime and you now lose your gun rights here in the state of California. These are the sorts of things. Part of what they're realizing is, look, they can't take away your right to own a firearm, but they can expand the number of people who are prohibited, right? They want to expand the number of people who are prohibited. So even if you are convicted of something, even if you plead guilty to something that is non-violent, and I'm not saying that sexual abuse, misdemeanor, if it's violent sexual abuse, it shouldn't be a misdemeanor, period. I don't understand why any kind of sexual abuse is considered a misdemeanor. But even more still, I don't understand why it would cause you to lose your gun rights if it's a misdemeanor. Why misdemeanors? Why people convicted of what are literally, I mean, petty crimes? And once again, not saying sexual abuse is a petty crime. I'm just saying it shouldn't be a misdemeanor. That's just me. But I really do believe that we need to be concerned about the expanding number of misdemeanors that are causing people to lose their fundamental rights. And here we have in the state of New York where that's exactly what they wish to do. And trust me, it won't stop here. Once they get these misdemeanors, they will expand it to include other misdemeanors. Once again, that will cause you to lose your fundamental rights. Not felonies, not major crimes. I'm not saying, well, sexual abuse is a big deal. It is a major crime. Right? It is a crime. It should be a felony, not a misdemeanor. Misdemeanors should not be serious crimes, and they should not cause you to lose your fundamental constitutional rights. Anyway, that's it for today's Coffee with Craig. That's my take on it today. So thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for sharing and liking these videos and inviting people to become a part of the Firearms Policy Coalition. We are the home in the fight for civil rights. We got to use them or we're going to lose them. Take care.
If you like our videos, follow, subscribe, like, and share.